We are live. We are back in full effect. The AllStar MMA live show, always on Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Central. I don't know if it's 6 p.m. Central.
Seven.
I'm just giving
Close.
it 7 p.m. It's 7. Okay, 7 p.m. Central. We back live, and man, a fight night this past weekend that was somewhat lost in the sauce, right? Like a lot of people were not really paying attention to it. You know what I mean? Like the zombie was going to retire, most likely after this fight, and I think a lot of people they kind of thought that this would be a somewhat like a public execution in the nicest way, right? In the nicest way, and it did become that in some ways, but man, the zombie he walked away from this fight with his legacy intact, right? He went out on his shield, and that's the least you can expect out of the zombie. I think he's probably one of the most respected fighters. Like he's kind of like one of those dudes. It's like your favorite fighter's favorite fighter type of situation. You know what I mean? Um, a lot of respect for the zombie. You know what I mean? It would have been better if he was able to do it in Korea where he was supposed to. Uh, but it just sometimes it just doesn't work out, the way you want it to work out. And the betting line, the the masses, they knew that this was going to most likely happen. This outcome of him getting knocked out and going out on his shield, but it was entertaining while it lasted. We'll get into all of that stuff. We'll get into the main event, talk about Zombie's career, talk about Holloway, where he is in his career and what options he has, because it seems like he's run out of his own options. Right after the fight, he talked about it in the post-fight press conference. Um, I'm just I'm just doing what I do, right? Like it is like he really doesn't have to say anything, right? It's just what can the UFC offer him? That's basically at the point he's at. But anyways, we'll talk about all of that good stuff. But before we get into all of that, make sure you guys go in the descriptions, download the All-Star app, make your picks and win prizes. Join J Specs League, and yeah, and win some crazy merch. That's gonna be very rare in the next couple of years, right? A lot of this merch, autographs, it's rare stuff, man. You guys need to pick it up, especially if you can use your talents to win it and not spend any money. Come on, you know what I mean? It's not about the money; it's about winning, right? That's what fighters always say. It's about winning. It's not about the money, but it's about the money. Anyways, um, yeah, it's crazy weekend in Singapore, and also there was the road to UFC as well. I don't know if you guys watched any of that, but the next day, about 24 hours later, some of the best prospects in Asia went face to face, and there were some highlight reels from that event as well, those events. But let's jump into the main event first. Let's get the app on the screen. I'm just gonna brag right here about the app. This is my app. This is mine. These are my picks right here. Holloway, TKO, KO, third round. Perfect. 15 points.
Boom.
Perfecto.
Boom.
Right? I'm just going to brag real quick. That's about it. People that are watching live uh, or people that are just watching on the replay, give your thoughts on the Korean Zombie, his performance. You know what I mean? Like, what you enjoy about his career? And this is going to be pretty much an appreciation for the Korean Zombie, and also Max Holloway. But let's just jump into what J Spec thought of the performance of the fight. Actually, not the performance, just the fight overall.
All right. Well, I'm very happy. I'm very pleased. The gem of Hawaii came through once again. Max, what can you expect except this? This is Max Holloway, folks. There just so happens to be a man named Alexander Volkanovski who lives in the same space and time in this sport. Or you'd be looking at the continued run and dominance and the ever defending featherweight champ, in my opinion. The people's featherweight champ, no disrespect to Volk. But Max, man, he showed us once again that he's still evolving. He's still getting better. He can still switch out little pieces in his weaponry that he's bringing to the table. Saturday's fight, we saw a different Max. We seen power punching Max Holloway. Get ready, folks. The action figures are available in stores soon. Light floating on the feet, Max. On his feet, Max wasn't there. He wasn't. It was more flat, more sitting down on his shots. You could see it. Some people went during our spaces. Go. That's kind of weird. Is he slowing down? Is Max slowing down? People, let it be known. Max ain't slowing down. He's at the peak of his game. He's at a super high atmosphere plateau. He's at a plateau that nobody else can get to except him, and he's beating everybody easily in front of him. Now, is this the TKZ? Is this the Korean Zombie of yesteryear? Is this the Korean Zombie that we love? Yes, but he's not the same fighter that we have in our minds. I applaud the Zombie for going out there, giving it all he got, like we expect. And I want to give him credit for just a moment. He had a moment. And that's what if you even have a moment in a retirement fight, I say, fuck yeah, good for you. And he did. He had that moment against Max in round 1, but it just not enough. Not enough firepower, not enough of all the skills needed at this point. Max just did his thing. And to what John said a little bit ago, a very nice execution, if you will. If you have to go against somebody, go against the best, get finished. That sucks. That's not the way you want to go out of it, but that's how legends go. Remember, folks, Robbie Lawler is 1 in a million. This is how legends retire. They retire on the floor, looking up at the lights with another good fighter telling them, hey, good try. And I'm proud of Max. I'm proud for him representing for the people of Maui. People behind the Maui, hearts out for you. And then I just want to talk about the crowd. Yes, it was Singapore. But if you're an ignorant person and you didn't know where it was, and you're also ignorant on culture, you just looked around and seen a bunch of Asian people chanting and singing along to Zombie. I mean, I don't really remember the last time you heard a crowd acoustically singing louder than the audio the song of the fighter in and out of the octagon. So beautiful moment for TKZ, beautiful fight, and I am glad I woke up at 2 a.m. With Sicko to watch these fights.
Well, man, my thoughts on the song Zombie is like, I'm tired of listening to that, right? But anyways, that's just the song. Sicko, man, what'd you think of the first 2 rounds though? Like, were the first 2 rounds competitive?
Yeah, in a way. I think the first 2 rounds were it's what we expected. The Zombie's going to come forward. You know, he's going to do what he does. He's going to land some shots on Max. And that's been the question for Zombie over the last couple fights, right? It was the same thing going into the Volkanovski fight. Volk's going to be better than him. He's going to outclass him, but Zombie has power. And if Zombie could land one, and that's kind of been Zombie's, where he's at in his career, is he's going to get outclassed. But if he lands one, he does have the power to still shake you up. And he did land a few good shots on Max. He had the crowd excited. He was in it. He was ready to go. And I think throughout the first 2 rounds, I think coming off the stool in the second round, he was like, yeah, the game plan probably isn't going to work. I'm probably not going to win this fight with the game plan we had. So here it is. It's kill or be killed. And listen, you guys keep saying this was a nice execution. This was not a nice execution, y'all. He went out bad. He went out cherished and beloved, and he went out on the shield, and he's a dog, and he's all of those great things. But I mean, the knockout itself was nasty. The knockout itself was bad. A nice execution would have been he got finished on that anaconda choke and not with the big right hand that Max landed. But for Zombie, I mean, what else can you say about him? A legend of the game. He's been around for the longest time. We were talking about it. What is Zombie's career if he didn't step away for that time that he had to step away for, right? I think it happened right in his prime. I think that's the best version of Zombie we had, and that's when unfortunately he had to step away from. Unfortunately for us, obviously, he had to step away from fighting, and to see him and the love that he got in Singapore, man, in the crowd, and this was the first time I feel like the most emotional that I got watching something that happened post fight. And when I say the most emotional, it means something because Rob was in the same spaces as me when Sean O'Malley won, and I was pretty emotional then, but a different type of emotion when Zombie retired, man. That walkout, him, sobbing, he's in tears, the crowd's chanting, there's people crying in the audience. I mean, man, it was emotional. It was so emotional to see him leave. And it wasn't sad. I wasn't sitting there sad for Zombie or, oh man, I can't believe he went out this way. He went out the way Zombie chose to go out. Zombie chooses to go out that way. And he went out. And when he left, it was just more emotion of appreciation, right? It was tears of appreciation for a guy that, damn, man, that's hard to do. Like, think about that for a second. I'm getting hit. I've been dropped already in this fight. I almost got submitted in this fight. I'm hurt. It's not working for me. This might be my last go. I don't know what the percentage is, but I think an overwhelmingly high percentage of people would choose to go into survival mode and try to hang on and try to finish the fight and try to go to decision. That's not the Korean Zombie. That's not who he is. He said, all right, I'm going to go out like an absolute dog, like the zombie that I am, and I'm going to show people, put my heart on my sleeve and show people why you were fans of me, why you were your favorite fighter, as John mentioned earlier. I'm going to show people why, and hats off to him, man. Max is just the second best guy in the division, and Zombie, unfortunately, cannot compete with the second best guy in the division. But hats off to Zombie, and of course, Max doing what he does, man. He hasn't gotten a finish in a long time. To Rob's point, he said it before the fight. He said, I'm due for a finish. I haven't had a knockout in a while. I think I'm due. I think he knew. He saw the writings on the wall, man. He knew that Zombie was going to be there to get hit. He could sit down and really unload on some punches, and there you go, man. Got himself a finish.
There you go, man. We got a comment from M. What's up, M? I always remember TKZ at home versus Edgar, a great moment in his home country. The Hominick knockout was amazing. Some of my favorite moments for TKZ have been his fights versus Leonard Garcia. Of course, man, we all remember those. What's your favorite Zombie moment in his career, right? WEC, UFC. He's one of the stars that crossed over from WEC and made a place for himself in the UFC without winning a title, right? There's not many guys from WEC that are still jumping, hopping around or whatnot. But
yeah.
Is my mic really bad? Because I can't hear.
Yeah, it's going crazy.
It's going crazy.
I mean, hopefully that's just in here and not like. Hopefully the people listening live don't hear what we're getting, like the feedback.
People listening live. What do you guys hear? Man, why is it?
Yeah, does it sound like future robot John has come back to kill current timeline John? Is this Terminator happening right now?
Yes. It's worse than before. It's going crazy. But anyway, yeah, talking about Zombie. I mean, shoot, my favorite fight from Zombie is probably the one where he's on the highlight reel in the wrong way against Yair, because of how good he was doing up until that point. Like, that fight is one for the ages, man. People always talk about, oh, if I could go back in time and show you an MMA fight, that's on the list. That one right there. That's probably the easiest pick. I'm sorry. All right, if I made the easiest choice, but that was probably my favorite fight because it is exactly who Zombie is. It was a war.
You know what though? Yes, you're talking about being unfortunate of being the B-side of the greatest fucking buzzer beater in the history of the sport, and I will bet my hat, my shirt, my underwear that I'm wearing right now that no other buzzer beater moment will happen in my lifetime better than that. So yes, unfortunate that he's on the B side of that, but Zombie, a legend and earmarked throughout the sport, never forgotten, totally solid, and like you said, Sicko, most importantly, went out the way we remember him being, and that's a fighter, a real one. You don't get sure. He's look, he doesn't even have a name anymore. Who knows Chan Sung Jung? I know Chan Sung Jung. You know Chan Sung Jung. You know Chan Sung Jung. Nobody else knows Chan Sung Jung. They know Korean Zombie, and that in itself is a big mark of success on who you are as a sports athlete. They
Yeah.
know you by your nickname.
Yeah.
That means you did a good job. You
Well,
know?
and that speaks to what we love about MMA, right? MMA, it ain't about the O. It's not about your O. You don't have to be undefeated to be beloved in this sport. You have to go out there and show up and be that fighter, be that type of fighter to be beloved. The Diaz brothers, Zombie, everybody, Robbie Lawler, none of those guys are undefeated. And guess what? We couldn't
We
care
don't,
less.
yeah,
We don't care. We know what they're gonna bring us, and that's why we love them, man. So it's exactly why people are gravitating towards this sport in the fashion and the rate that they are, is because of people like him, and that can't be understated. That we have to acknowledge those type of guys because there's very few of them, and they don't come around very often. He could have went out a different way, man. That's the crazy part. Is like he didn't have to go out like that. He chose to go out like that. That's crazy to me.
Well, is the static still good?
You're so much better, dude.
All right. Well, hopefully the plugins and stuff, things
He's got new
don't
toys,
don't mess
everybody.
up.
John's got a bunch of new toys. Forgive John. He's
Well,
got
we'll see. Well, new toys are supposed.
He said they might be getting sold.
Yeah,
There might be old
getting
toys real
sold,
quick.
yeah, yeah. With the strategy of coming out in the third round, just coming out guns a blazing.
Yeah.
Do you think that the Zombie thought that fight was a 3-round fight, and he knew that he was losing, and he just thought in his mind like, let's go out there and because listen to me. In the past, right? He has come out and said recently in the recent past that he has a strategy for every fight. It's not like he goes in there and he's like, oh, I'm just gonna brawl or whatnot. He has a strategy for every opponent, every fight. But after the first 2 rounds, he said this in the interview. After the first 2 rounds, if that strategy is not working, then he just goes into fight mode.
Mhm.
That's what he said. And could he be? Could it have been like him not knowing like this is a 5-round fight? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Who knows, right? But he went out there in the third round, which you wish a lot of fighters would. Like he came out in the third round, like a lot of fighters should come out in the third round. You know what I mean? Risking it. If he lost the first 2 rounds, clearly lost the first 2 rounds, and and that's what happens. You die by the sword. You win by the sword, right?
Yep.
You live by the sword. That's the Korean Zombie. And the one thing that's concerning about the Korean Zombie is that he has taken a lot of punishment. You know what I mean? Like in the last couple of fights, like really bad, like record levels of punishment. And you guys say that the best version of the zombie, or Sicko was saying the best version of the zombie was when was that? When did you say that was? Back in the early, like before he retired. Like no, sorry,
Yeah.
before he stepped away for a couple of years, because he was gone from like the end of 2013 all the way to the beginning of 2017, right? And the reason why I feel like we saw the best version of Jung, and we'll probably never, we could speculate how good he was or not, but I don't think we'll ever see a better version of Jung. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think we would have ever seen it, because the reason why is his body failed him, dude. Like, if you look at like the Aldo fight before he went to the military, or kind of went to the military, he lost because he separated his shoulders throwing a punch. And then during his time away, he had double shoulder surgery, kind of like what TJ Dillashaw had, right? Probably exactly what TJ Dillashaw had when he was away. Double shoulder surgery. I think he had surgery on his knees as well. And then that shoulder just never healed, right? That shoulder popped out in the Danny Gay fight. It bothered him to the point where they had to delay the Volkanovski title fight. Remember, they were trying to push that fight quicker, but then they delayed it to a few months because of the Zombie and his situation, health situation. They really wanted that fight. He's just been, I think, in his mind, he's world champion. In his mind, he's high level, but it's just his body won't go, and that's what happens, man. In this sport, once like there's injuries in other sports where they say to you, you get this injury, man, you're probably never gonna play like you did before, or you're probably never gonna play again at the highest level. And in fighting, people say the knee injury is that way, but I don't know, man. I think we should be looking at the brain more. You know what I mean? Like these fighters hopping back in after 3 months after getting knocked out. You know what I mean? Like they should be taking a little bit more time. We have more information on that stuff, right? I just don't want to see Zombie uh in like 6, 7 years or even 10 years at some UFC, and he's just like, that's the Zombie.
Like
What
actually
happened to
looking
him?
zombie-esque, like drooling on himself and
Exactly,
shit.
exactly. I don't want
Yeah.
to see that, but we praise him, man, for risking his elderly years for our entertainment. But does he come back? I doubt it, man. I doubt it, man. It's just he's lost brutally in his last two, and if you can't, like he said, if I can't compete at the highest level, why compete at this point in your life, right? And he's what?
100%.
He's
30,
36 years old, right?
yep.
36 years old is at the tail end, right? You're right in the middle of the tail end of your career. If you are even if you have a tail end, especially at featherweight. How many 36-year-old featherweights are out
Yeah.
there competing at top 15 level? Zero. The
Zero.
Volk is probably the second oldest, right? He's at 34 or something like that, 35, and he's about to probably start seeing the twilight years of his career. Well, who knows, right? But he didn't take the damage that the Zombie took throughout the years. That's another thing, right? So you
Not at all.
can't really make those comparisons. So, what is your favorite Zombie moment in his career? My favorite Zombie moment in his career is probably going to have to be, uh, man, it's got to be the Moicano knockout. I think that is my favorite. Like, I think that's the best Zombie we saw. He just looked like a monster. You know, he
Fire.
came back. He came back against Dennis Bermudez, knocked him out in the first round, right? And he was very emotional in that fight because he knew that he was like so many years away. And then, you know, he probably knew in his mind, he probably thought, can I even do this anymore? And he went in there and knocked out Dennis Bermudez. The next fight, he got into that like crazy, 1 second left knockout against Yair Rodriguez, which um, I thought the Zombie won that fight. It's just there's another example of Zombie being the Zombie, right? Like he just 1 second left, he's still running forward, throwing punches, even though he won the fight. But yeah, after that loss, he comes back and fights Morcano, which Morcano was he's a dangerous fighter now, right? And back then
Oh yeah.
even more. And Zombie went in there and just diced him quick, right? Just early. And I thought that was probably one of my favorite moments. What about you, J Spec?
I want to bring up a little bit further back in time, in a spot of time where I think MMA was having a magic moment where all these guys that we know and love today were actually actively fighting each other. And I'm gonna highlight Chan Sung Jung's Darce choke of Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
Not I feel like nobody ever brings that up. It's a fight that just got lost in the echoes of time, and looking back at that win now, with all things considered, and all these men being so revered and well respected, you look back on that one and you go, nice. So that's my pick.
All right.
For sure.
Sicko.
Yeah, I said it earlier.
Yeah.
The Yair fight, just because of how that fight went. Unfortunately, he was on the bad end of it, but just the heart that he showed in that fight, and the fact that it was an absolute, just a dog fight, man. But if I'm gonna rule that one out, listen, man. Sometimes we're prisoner of the moment, and looking back, I think 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I'm never gonna forget him walking out of that octagon on Saturday. I was going to say Saturday night. Definitely wasn't Saturday night for us. But I'm never going to forget him walking out of the arena. And I don't think we've ever given credit or props to the commentary team, but I'm going to give them props when they deserve it. Thank you for not saying anything. When the crowd started getting into the song, they started singing for him. I was like, please don't say anything. Please don't start. Do you remember he did this and blah, 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 blah. And you want to fill the time, like shut up and just listen to the crowd, listen to what's going on. And they did. They just let that time breathe. And it just seemed like the crowd was getting louder and louder. And just that send off, that walk of him looking up, tears in his eyes as he's looking at everybody singing his song. and he's getting embraced by his lady and they're walking off. I mean, I'm never going to forget that moment. I'm never going to forget his retirement. And I know recency bias, right? It just happened, but I'm never going to forget it, guys. It's never going to leave my mind.
Definitely a moment.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people, they love that. They love that song. They love singing along. You know, that's why people love concerts, right? They love to go there and be in that environment. And I'm pretty sure that that moment in Singapore is going to be special for a lot of people. A lot of people be like, "I was there," but I noticed that the arena was, I noticed that the arena was empty though. To be honest,
The first half of the fight, it was awfully empty, and I was criticizing that, but it filled up later.
yeah, but still, when it did fill up, it looked like there was still a lot of seats available, like up in the stands. You know what I mean? It wasn't like the pay per view, you know, Glover and you would think that Zombie would draw something, but I was suspicious to the point because 2 weeks out, I was getting Facebook ads to buy tickets to go watch Zombie and Max Holloway fight on
Be like,
Facebook.
this never happens.
When yeah, that never happens, right?
Sold
So you're
out.
just thinking like, yeah, you're thinking like, oh, are they having a tough time selling tickets for this fight? But
Even
it
Max,
is
for
what
that
it is,
matter, you would think
man.
he would sell it.
Yeah, you would think so. It is what it is, man. Zombie retires after taking a beating from Max Holloway, providing Max Holloway with another, probably one of his best highlight reel finishes of all time. You know what I mean? Like for real, like Zombie flared and got knocked out. You know, like he flared, like he was
Yeah.
like the Matrix,
Falling
slow
into a
motion,
black
like
hole.
He
falling
was knocked
forward.
out and was throwing one final punch while deactivated.
Exactly, and then when he hit the ground, he was clearly knocked out. Like Max could have went over
Wow,
there
now.
and punched him a bunch of times, but he's clearly knocked out. But yeah, he was knocked out on the feet. And when you see Max Holloway knock someone out on their feet like that, it's time. Like, you know, like remember I told you guys last week, his training camp was at home in Korea by himself,
Mm-hmm.
basically coaching himself. You know what I mean? Like you can't do that at the highest level. You know what I mean? Like it's just not gonna work out for you. But anyways. Go ahead, Jason. What
I
you
just
got?
want to say kudos to Zombie for knowing, for being real with himself, which sometimes we don't do, and you know, facing the music, so to speak, and calling it at a good time. Like, I know we care about his health long term. I think that could have been in jeopardy if he keeps fighting, but he goes right when we are all seeing it. He felt it too, and I gotta give him uh big props for, you know, facing that like a, you know, like an athlete facing your time is up.
There you go. There you go. There you go, man. Zombie retires. Max Holloway stays the same, and we move on into the UFC sunset that never ends. The sunset never ends in the UFC because it's just continually 24 hours a day, 365 days a week. You're just watching the same sunset go down. Anyways, um, the co-main event, right? We had what's his name? Smith
And
Lionheart.
Lionheart.
Anthony Smith.
Anthony Smith
Nice
versus
Red
the
Skull.
Superman, Ryan Spawn. It's a rematch. I don't know why they put this rematch together. Like they just it's laziness by the matchmakers to make rematches like this if it's not title fights. Unless you really necessarily have to make a number one contender fight against these guys or a title fight, yes, rematches are good. But there's no like what they had some beef or something that Ryan Spawn seems like he doesn't even have no idea about the beef. It's just Anthony Smith that's angry. But the fight, just the fight though, I wasn't really particularly interested in the fight, but the result was the same, right? What'd you think, Sicko?
Yeah, I mean, the first two rounds were entertaining, right? Anthony Smith took the first round pretty clearly, got to the position that he wanted, was able to take him down. And the second round, Span severely damages Anthony Smith's eye, has him compromised, has him hurt, could possibly get him out of there. I don't know what the hell he was doing come third round, man. I mean, Span loses, and he's sitting there with this shocked look on his face for what? Why are you shocked that you lost? You had a wounded animal, and you decided to be cautious yourself and not go in for the kill. You decided to, you know, try to outpoint the guy that it has one eye damn near closed, that is shielding up and covering up every time you throw more than one punch, but you refuse to throw more than one punch in the third round. I don't get it. I don't understand what happened in that fight. I don't understand what happened to Span in the third round, why you're not going for it more. And for Anthony Smith, all right, the show goes on, I guess. I think his career, where he's at right now, call me crazy if you want. You can, say that I'm being too harsh on him, but I think there's a clear regression in his talent level. Is a clear regression in his reactions and the way he's getting hit, and it's just not the same Anthony Smith we're used to. And if this is a climb up the ladder, I do worry for him on who that next step is going to be. If Anthony Smith still has those dreams and aspirations to get back to a title, fight, man, you're going to have to go through some absolute monsters to get there. And I feel like he's going to go out real bad if this is what he's at and if he's only going to continue to regress. He didn't look good against Johnny Walker. He didn't look particularly good in this fight. So, it's one of those fights where, if you say yourself, John, like you weren't that interested, it didn't really grab your attention. Yeah, they chose to make it that way come the third round. It could have been a dogfight. It could have been, someone needed to get that zombie injection into Ryan Spann and say, look, dude, you can go out and get this finish. And you had one guy that was compromised, and that's why he wasn't going after it. And another dude who I have no idea why he wasn't going after it in the third round. So it was a decent fight. I'm not going to say it was boring or it was terrible, but the third round should have definitely had a lot more action, and I think it should have been on Spann to push that action.
J-Spec, are you angry at Spann?
Angry at him? No. But if we was friends, I'd be severely disappointed in him, and I think that's worse. Let's be honest. Like, I'm going to borrow phrases from other sports. This is why we don't give trophies at halftime. Classic, right? That's it. Ryan Spann had this shit in the bag, wrapped up with his name on it, ready to go. Like, he simply stopped working. And that's all there is to it. It was crazy. It was definitely the biggest mental fart of the night. I'm going to say that. It was the brain fart of the night by Mr. Spann. And when it goes back to what's going on with Anthony Smith in this matchup, could it be a bone? Could it be a little bit of a gift, if you will, a little bit of an attaboy for Mr. Smith being like, hey, the UFC clearly loves him. They try to do well by him, and the people like him. He's a nice man. He's a good person. And, looks like they were looking at Anthony Smith like, brother, things are not going good. Hey, you want to fight this other guy they have a little bit of internet beef with that you beat? Maybe you could pop out of your losing skid that you got going on. And I feel like that's why this match was made. Unfortunately, I have to agree. And I'm saying, unfortunately, I have to agree with your guys' assessment that Anthony Smith is just, he's not showing any signs of a veteran fighter about to pop off a run to go back up the hill. I'm just going to say it. He looks like a fighter that would be best served to relegate himself to very classy gatekeeper. He's still ranked. You could just make him be the wedge between the top 10 or the getting into the top 15. There's nothing wrong with that with older fighters if they accept that. But like you said, it's mental. It's up to him and his choice and in his heart what he wants in his career and going on forward. Because round one, amazing. Anthony Smith looked amazing, folks, in round one. Round two, he looked exactly like the person people criticize and think that he's washed and he can't really take a shot anymore. His chin, it's not done. He didn't go out to sleep, but when he gets popped now, his legs give up. And it is what it is. Time's going by. I am happy for this fight that it went the way it went. I picked Lionheart to win this. Do I think that Ryan Spann lost this fight and Mr. Smith didn't win this fight? I also kind of have that conclusion. I'm not mad at anything. Thank you for the fight. It's not a barn burner. We'll move on from this with no great repercussion to the weight class at all, in my opinion.
M made a good point here. He said that it's even crazier when you think the first fight was in 2019 and it was Smith's prior victory. That means Smith hasn't won a fight since the first fight. What?
Yes.
Like, really? You think about like giving someone a matchup that they have confidence heading into, right? And still, like you guys said, Anthony Smith, I think he should just go to broadcasting. I'm not saying he should retire, but clearly, like, he's gonna end up catching some beatings, dude. Like, if he continues fighting this way and starts fighting the guys that are extremely, extremely violent, right? And that won't let off the gas pedal. You know what I mean? There's a lot of hungry young guys in that division. Um, and yeah, man, they're not gonna
No,
let
for
off
sure.
on them, dude.
Yeah, John,
They,
look, you see all the young cats always look, Anthony Smith is the most called out ranked fighter in the light heavyweight division. And that is not a fucking good thing. If you're on the
Smell
internet
that
and you're the
blood.
most called out fighter that is ranked, that means they all smell blood in the water, or however that expression works.
No, yeah,
yeah.
they do. He's kind of like that Tony Ferguson feel of the
Oh
division.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like everybody's
yeah.
calling him out. I mean, if you look at the rankings and what could be next for him, it don't look good, guys. I mean, who do you give him next? Khalil Roundtree, with how violent that man is.
Oh man, that's not a fight that you want, especially
No.
if he fought like that
You
last
know what I
night.
mean? Rakic, Jan Blachowicz, Ankalaev. That's it. I
Rakic is
mean,
the only one just because he's a question mark. Because we don't know how much Rakic is inside there right now. That's the
right,
only
right,
one.
right.
That's the only one that's not an execution.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like this win, he's not back in the bottom half of this 15. He's up in the top half. So this win, it is a win at the end of the day. You do have to keep pushing him forward if that's what he wants. That's what I'm saying. I'm scared for him for what that next step is. Those guys are violent, man. They're not gonna trust me. If they have you hurt like that, they're not gonna do what Span did. They're going to put you out.
One thing I like about Anthony Smith though is that even though he's been performing not to the highest level compared to like a lot of the other guys that are his peers, he still will say what's on his mind. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't shelter himself. I like that about him. You know what I mean? Even before this fight, he was honestly talking about what he saw in Pereira. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it was something to just get some headlines as well. You know what I mean? Because it's clearly he knows what he's doing with like interviews and how to handle himself in front of the mic. He has a show, I believe, with Bisping, so he gets a lot of practice with that. And of course, he's on ESPN from time to time. Um, Man, it's been a few performances that have been the same, and somehow he ends up getting a win, dude. Like, it's crazy to me. Somehow he just ends up like he's got his number, right? Just Ryan Swan is a guy that's like always there. He's like he's kind of like Johnny Walker. For some reason, Johnny Walker's figured it out, right? To where it's like, okay, I could maybe make a run at the title, right? If I make some changes and do better in the octagon. Ryan Spawn, it's like he's kind of like that same level, but he just can't find that missing piece, right? Or it's just like maybe it's fight IQ. Maybe he's missing that. Maybe that's something that he needs to improve upon so he can make the right decisions. Because it seems like you guys are pointing to a mistake made in the fight where he pulled back and didn't go aggressively. And if they had beef, why didn't you just beat the beef out of them, right?
Yes.
Possibly, but. Yeah, man, let's move on from this, man, because it's not really worth talking about too
Yeah.
much. Let's go to the next fight. But before we go to the next fight between Giga Chikadze and Alex Caceres, make sure you guys go in the descriptions, download the AllStar app, make your picks for UFC fights. That's why we're here. We're talking about the fights. We're talking about our picks. I picked Chikadze. I picked him by let me show you. I picked him by decision. So I got it right. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna explain to you why I picked Chikaze by decision. The reason why I picked him by decision is because number one, Caceres, he's tough as hell to finish, right? Like, and they're gonna stand and trade. So that's a lot of movement. Caceres has a good gas tank. He probably can stay away from the big heavy shots, especially the kicks. But Caceres broke his arm, his hand, something. He broke something in the first round, right? And he lasted until the third. Chikaze couldn't finish him. Maybe it was ring rust. I don't know exactly what it was, but this was a perfect opportunity for him to go in there, finish a guy like Caceres, because Caceres is ranked as well,
Mhm.
and then call out the winner of the main event, especially Max Holloway, right? That's who you want to fight. You don't really want to fight the Korean Zombie, even if I guess if he won, you do want to fight him. But I'm saying like Max Holloway is probably the bigger head on the spear, right, on the totem pole. And I feel like it was a missed opportunity, man. Sicko, what'd you think? Was it a missed opportunity for Chikadze? Everybody was hyped about him so much, and then he went away, and now he's back. But he went to decision with Caceres, who fought with a broken something for all rounds.
Yeah, I was saying it all through the spaces. Is man, I'm concerned about his mental state. That the hesitation. I mean, if you just go back and watch that Edson Barbosa fight, and then this fight, I mean, it's just night and day. Just the aggressiveness, the way he was throwing combinations together. You go back and listen to the commentary, just watch the fight against Barbosa. The one thing that he had on display was his speed. Everyone talked about, whoa, he's faster than Barbosa. We didn't expect this. And then in this fight, everyone's going, is it me or is Giga kind of slow? And it's like, what happened? Is it just he's afraid to pull the trigger? I mean, listen, say what you want, but a beating like that came at the hands of Calvin Kattar, like that changes fighters, man. As much as we love, I'm bringing up his name again for the second time today. As much as we love Tony Ferguson, everybody points to that Justin Gaethje fight. Giga might be the type of guy where you look a couple fights down the road, he just never pans out. He doesn't hit the potential that we gave him, right? Because we gave him, it's our fault as a fan. We gave him a very, very high ceiling. We said, man, this dude, he could really be a problem for a lot of people. Going into the Kattar fight, if I'm not mistaken, he was the favorite in that fight. Or at least it seemed to be. A lot of people were picking him against Kattar. And I mean, it was a beating that we just didn't expect. At the very least, we can say that we did not expect him to get beat the way he got beat to Kattar. And I think that's changed him a little bit. I thought he did the right thing by taking time off. We were talking about this earlier. Don't come back really fast when you're getting beat like that. When you have that type of damage, take your time to come back. I think he did the right thing by taking his time. And what I'm hoping is that this fight showed him, I'm okay. I'm all right. I could go for it. I could get back to who I was. I can get that confidence back, because a win is a win, right? At the end of the day, when you lose the way he did, you just want to get back on the winning streak. You just want to come back and make yourself feel like I could still win these fights. Hopefully this is a confidence booster, and hopefully he just needed this one to get back to who he was, at least from the appearance-wise, being aggressive and throwing combinations and letting his hands go. It just seemed like he was frozen a lot of times. Like he was really cautious about letting his hands go. And it could be Caceres' movement. I understand that. Caceres is a tricky fighter. The way he moves is a little, I'm not going to say unorthodox, but it's a lot of movement. He's not a standstill, stay in the pocket and swing with you type of guy. So my hope is that this is just a fight that he could look back at and say, okay, I'm good. I could be in there. I can still take shots. I can still give shots. In the next fight, we see the Giga that we saw against Edson. But my fear is that the Kattar fight took more from him than we even initially thought.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. That's a great point to make, because this sport, a lot of it has to do with your mindset, your mind state during a fight, before a fight, after a fight. Is just, you don't know what's going on. If you look at the numbers, dude, it was very, very close, right? Very, very close fight throughout 3 rounds. I got to give more respect to Caceres. He fought with a broken hand or arm or something. Yeah, he's all wrapped up now. But yeah, Chikadze not being able to finish a wounded opponent, that's something to look into. Maybe this is what he needed to get back on the horse and be able to face somebody like a Max Holloway with full confidence. Maybe we won't know, I think, until the next fight, right? The next fight, when he comes out and he faces somebody super, super dangerous, we will see, man. We will see. Let me get back onto this point. And M is saying that he broke his forearm, they said. So he broke his forearm in the first round and fought like basically what Dan Hooker did.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Boys are crazy.
And but Caceres didn't win. That's the only thing. When you win, it's a different story, right? You win, you get that mic time. You get to say your little taglines. It's just a scratch, right? You could make the merch. You know what I mean? Like it's a different situation. But he didn't win. He lost. So we got to still give him the respect, right? Caceres, because Caceres has been around for so long. He's fought pretty much everybody, and everybody kind of like throws him under the radar for some reason. But yeah, man, this could have been a big win for Caceres, but he just couldn't do it. J-Spec, what did you think of Caceres? Where does that put him in the picture?
Well, I'm really, really glad that you guys just educated me about the broken arm, forearm thing, because I actually didn't know about that. And that answers the question I had sitting inside regarding Mr. Caceres, because I like him. I've been a fan of him for a long time, but I'm also realistic that I find him to be a jack of all trades. And, jacks are never champions, jacks are never kings. So, with that being said, I'm glad that there's an answer to why he kind of simmered away, because I thought he was showing a very good performance and possibly even winning. I think he won the first round and he could have won. I think he could have won that fight, but it makes sense now. Why things kind of change along the way. You got a broken forearm, dude. That affects your ability to strike, your ability to block, everything, your ability to grapple. Like you're a wounded warrior out there, and shit. God bless you for being able to go the whole 15 minutes. That should just be like something that should be mentioned for all the fighters who get to do it. I think it really should, since they got all these graphics going across the screen. All the badasses who make it through fights with a broken something or other, put that shit on the screen the next time they fight. But with Mr. Caceres, I think that we have two fighters in Caceres and Giga who are both older, higher mileage, and are kind of at situations in their career where it's all or nothing. Like every single one of their fights right now are all or nothing. And I think for Caceres, this kind of is a microcosm of his whole career. He's better than a fucking bulk majority of the planet. He's just not a top 10 fighter. He's just, unfortunately, that's just not. You're just not top 10 in the world, Mr. Caceres. I love you very much. Bruce Leroy, hell yeah. Good luck, and I hope you keep fighting, dude, because he still got it. Like as you guys mentioned, his movement uniquely his own. He still got speed. He was definitely outspeeding Chikaze. He was lost in that first round. So good stuff. Hopefully in the future for Mr. Caceres. And I just want to say this last part. Sickle, you stole everything I wanted to say about Giga. Like everything, right, my brother. We're best friends, dude. All of my thoughts was in your head. Thank you. I just copy and paste in your head. So yeah, copy and paste everything Sickle said, and then insert me. That's my feelings too.
There you go. Yeah, like I said earlier, I think we just need to wait until the next fight to see where Giga is at mentally. Physically, I'm pretty sure he's there with everybody, and it kind of bleeds into the next fight that was on the main card between I believe it's the Japanese Connor. I think that's what he wants to be called. I don't know why you'd want to be called something like that.
Team Nakamura, we're not doing that. We're not doing
why. Yeah, we got a Nakamura in the house, right? Like Japanese Connor is like you're gonna be the Korean zombie is the Korean zombie, right? But it's like saying like I'm gonna be the the Polish John Jones. That's your nickname. It's like, yo, be yourself.
Yeah,
be yourself, right? So, but Nakamura, he was himself because he didn't fight nothing like Connor. He went in there, landed 4 takedowns, controlled the other dude for a long period of time. Fernie Garcia, I interviewed him before this fight. He's on back-to-back losses, long layoff, probably going to be released by the UFC now, after this fight. Didn't really have a good showing. Yeah, man, it was pretty much all Japanese Connor. We got to go with the nickname. So we'll skip that one and we'll go to the next one because the next one is one that actually has implications. We'll start with a Sickle on this fight. This fight between Erin Blanchfield and Talia Santos. Talia Santos, I picked her to win this fight. No, actually, I didn't pick her. I picked Blanchfield to win by decision, but I was
on a roll, baby. Put some money down, John.
Because I usually pick decision, especially with women fights. Talia looked really good in the first round. Like she came out, she looked solid on the feet. Looked like she was landing with the harder punches and marching forward and looked confident. And then something snapped in that second round. And what it was Erin Blanchfield switching up the game plan and gutting out a win. And she actually kind of did that in the Andrade fight as well, right? The first round was kind of competitive. She took some shots. In the second and third round, she won those rounds and won the fight, right? That's what happened in this one. Clear as day. J-Spec, what do you think of Erin Blanchfield? And she took a risk by taking this fight because nobody cared about this fight. Think about it, right? They
No.
barely cared about the Korean Zombie versus Max Holloway. Do you think they're caring about this one? And this one has title implications, right? Talia Santos just fought for the title almost a year ago in Singapore and lost again. Even this one was more clear, right, as day. And she was supposed to be next in line for the title. She's not going to get it. Erin Blanchfield is just beating up everybody on the way to the title. So I feel like she should sit back, let the other girls fight, and then fight the next the next champion, whoever it is. If it's Grasso, fight Grasso. If it's Valentina, fight Valentina. At the end of the day, I think Grasso would be just a more interesting matchup, just as in MMA. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of similar in some ways. They kind of had the similar path in some ways, except for Erin was more pushed more from the start, right? But I don't know. What do you think, J Spec, of Erin's performance and where she sits in the division against like someone like Grasso or Valentina?
Dude, bust out the bugles and the trumpets and shit. The new queen is arriving. All hail Princess Blanchfield in the meantime. Um, yo, I said this during our fight watch long, and I'm saying it now. I've been waving the banner for this fight in particular. I was trying to get MMA friends to really understand that this fight on this card, even though it's stupidly located on the card, yes, criticism to the UFC, that this fight was probably the most significant fight in the sport on the whole card. So I was really trying to put some focus on this fight. Now, to Miss Blanchfield, I cannot be any more excited, happy, and a banner man. I'll just be a banner man for her at this point because she's doing an amazing special thing for women's MMA. She's, in my opinion, the first really pressured, highly anticipated prospect in the women's MMA that has come out and delivered and is making a straight line, like a straight attack to the title. Hopefully no hiccups along the way. I fully agree with you, John, that she needs to just do nothing now. She did all the work, let the dust settle, and go collect your championship title chance. And that's all there is to it. Erin Blanchfield has done everything, and I was nervous. I picked her for this fight, and I was nervous in that first fight. Miss Santos, honestly, like was just owning her in that first round, and I don't know the exact moment where things got tricky, but there was a point where Miss Santos rushed a takedown attempt, and she failed.
Yes.
She got off that, and Blanchfield reversed her, and it was like that moment. It kind of like sparked in my opinion, it sparked the aha in Miss Blanchfield's heart and mind in her fight game, and things slowly but surely went in Blanchfield's direction from that moment on. So with all that being said, Miss Santos, I'm sorry you came up short in Singapore now twice. One definitely more clear than the other. But man, happy that women's MMA is having not quite it's John Jones, but kind of like its first hot prospect to then just murder everybody and could be the Anu. Let's hope it happens. And I don't really care. I don't care who she fights, Grasso or Shevchenko. I think it's good either way. I think either story is great. So let's have that happen for sure.
Sicko, in this fight, right, between Grasso and Shevchenko, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, the winner is probably gonna affect whoever wins that fight is probably gonna affect Erin Blanchfield, right? Do you think Erin Blanchfield should sit out or should she fight somebody else? Because you never know, there could be a trilogy coming in that fight.
There's a couple things working against Erin Blanchfield here. One is the title fight. Shevchenko wins. How do you not do the trilogy? Especially if Shevchenko wins and it's a close fight, a really close decision, maybe even controversial where some people think Grasso won, but Shevchenko got the nod. How do you not make the trilogy? And the other thing that people aren't realizing, there's another really big fight in that division coming up. And that's the former queen, Rose Namajunas, coming up. And the one thing we know about the UFC is winning isn't everything. Yeah. Entertainment is everything. And let's say Manon or Rose gets a head kick knockout, gets something spectacular. especially if it's Rose, she's jumping that queue. She's jumping Blanchfield, and Blanchfield's going to have to take another one. So I don't think Blanchfield's going to have a choice. I think best case scenario for Blanchfield is that fight between Rose and Farrow doesn't go, uh, it isn't all that exciting. It's a little bit boring, and people are just like, nah, we want to give Blanchfield the rub. We want to put her in that title fight, and Grasso wins. But those are a lot of factors that she has no control of, unfortunately. What she did have control of was this fight. And I'm going to say something that might be controversial here because, whenever you win a fight via control time, and that control time wasn't even on the mat, it was against the fence, people aren't going to like what I'm about to say, but I was impressed. I thought it was a very impressive performance from Blanchfield. I talk about IQ and what it takes to win a fight, and it wasn't going her way in the first round, and she figured it out. At 25 years old or 24 years old, however old she is, she's right around there, she figured it out, man. And that's not something that you see a lot of young fighters doing, is getting off the stool going, okay, I need to take a new approach. I need to figure out how to just win this fight. And her pace was good. I mean, at the end of the day, in round 3, Santos was looking tired, and Blanchfield still looked fresh. She looked like the fresher fighter. She looked like she could have done that for 2 more rounds if need be. And I was impressed by her. And it's controversial because when are you ever impressed by a decision win that gets won because you held somebody up against the fence? But she did what she needed to do. She got the dub. Unfortunately, there's a lot of factors that she doesn't have any control of in terms of how she gets to the title fight next. She might have to take another one, but she's young. Like, she's so young. It's not a now or never thing for her. She has time. She has all the time in the world. What she needs to focus on right now is just continue to get better, continue to look good in the striking department, continue to improve defensively in the striking department, because whether it's Alexa Grasso, whether it's Shevchenko, whether it's Rose, whether it's Farrell, she's at a massive disadvantage in the stand-up with all 4 of those ladies. So you got to do a little bit better of a job, because in that first round with Santos was definitely getting the better of her. So just keep getting better. She's 25, guys. She's not anywhere near how good she's going to be. Keep getting better. Keep elevating your game. That time's going to come, and when it does, you want to be the best you can be at that point. Take a book out of Sean O'Malley. Don't rush it. Get there when it's the perfect time to get there.
There you go. We'll see, man. She's super young, and yeah, she's getting better, which is phenomenal to see. She's getting better against the best fighters, which, hey, that's, you love to see that transpire in a fighter's career, to watch it happen in front of your eyes. Yeah, bright future for Erin Blanchfield. Nothing bad to say about her, man. She's a pro, man. She knows what she's doing. She obviously has a great team behind her, right? We don't know anybody or anything about the team, but obviously she has a great team behind her that makes her.
It's the new wave, right?
Her.
Yeah. This hyper focused team. That's the new wave now. It's not about these big gyms. It's how much time are you going to give me? Am I your number one priority at all times?
Yeah.
Those fighters are doing great.
And there's great coaches everywhere, man. You don't have to go for the famous ones all the time. Now the last fight, the fight that opened the main card, didn't last very long, and the Tafa curse lives on, right? Parker Porter, he's the brave man that decided to fight both the brothers, and he ends up losing again by first round knockout. Parker Porter, I feel like he's always underestimated, right? But against the Tafa brothers, it's just, you can't fight like that. You can't fight like that against the Tafa brothers. And Junior Tafa, the younger brother, he's a little bit faster, right? I don't know if he has more knockout power, but he's a little bit more faster, and he's a little bit more technical than Justin. And I think that if he would have fought them reverse, maybe he had a chance. But like, he fought them like Justin first and then Junior, and it's just like it didn't happen his way. Junior Tafa, J-Spec,
yeah,
fellow Islander, like what do you see in him, man? He's like probably the youngest heavyweight on the roster.
I think he does a good job of making himself look older than he really looks. That mustache, good job, Junior. It's really made you look a little older, more like your brother. Because other than that, he's got a baby face. I'll be honest. He's like a baby face killer. Can't use baby face assassin. That's already taken. But anyways, point being is Tafa gang, baby. I shouted out during the spaces. I lovingly support my Samoan brothers from afar. They're proud of all the Polynesians in MMA, but specifically the Tafas, because I'm pretty sure I'm correct when I say this. Congratulations, Parker Porter. You become the first guy to get knocked out by brothers in the UFC. Good job. And John knows, because John knows apparently they got the Tafas got like a third brother. They're like secretly coming along the way. So world, watch out. Tafa's coming at you. I love this. I love these guys. Like this is all trickle down economics. Thank you, Ronald Reagan. This is all trickle down economics from the great one, the Super Samoan, Mark Hunt, right? All these young men were in his gym getting beat up by the Super Samoan, and now they're here. They've reached their primes. Their peaks are here. We're gonna have Tai Tuivasa. We're gonna have the Tafas. There's a few more. There's
a lot.
There's a lot. So
Carlos Olberg is from that. Tyson Pedro's from that. Like there's so many that come from that lineage.
If I can give any of my fellow Americans any advice, some Hawaiian advice to the rest of America, do not stand toe to toe with a Samoan. It's gonna lose. So use your footwork. It's the only thing that can beat them. Good luck. Other than that, happy for the Tafas. Keep knocking out people. Keep getting bonuses. Congratulations on that bonus, sir. Happy for it. Hell yeah. Good shit.
Yeah, one thing about those bonuses, man. The Tafa brothers are gonna take care of their family. You know what I mean? Like it's not like they get a bonus and they're buying a green Lamborghini or something.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Sicko?
Hey, man. That's a shot at my boy. His family's taken care of, all right?
I know.
Yeah, no, shout out to Tafa for sure, man. Shout out to Tafa. Listen, being Samoan, that's a natural, that's God's performance enhancing drug. You know what I mean? They just built different, bro. They're just built different. And yeah, you can't go toe to toe and try to go chin for chin, shot for shot with one of them boys. It's not going to work. Now, Parker got to fight the younger brother. That's the only thing that's next. He got to fight the younger one. He got to fight.
They're just going to keep him around.
Bro, he's got to fight the grandpa. He got to fight the dad. He got to fight the uncle. He's got to get a win over one of them somewhere, bro. Somewhere. He's got to get some redemption because, man, that was
bring Mark back out of retirement and have him fight him or something.
Man. Unfortunately, I have him as the dog in all of it. So
reverse Sakuraba.
Bro, that was the only fight on this whole card. The only fight I felt more confident in than Holloway and Zombie was that one. I was like, Tafa gonna kill him, man. Like Tafa's gonna leave him on the canvas. Everybody, the writing was on the wall. We've already seen it happen against another Tafa. We're gonna see it happen again. I don't know anybody that picked Porter in this one. And yeah, I mean, I like Parker, man. There's nothing to really dislike about the guy at all.
No.
It's just unfortunately he, ran into two beasts. And unfortunately,
he understands
the favorable matchup. He's a favorable matchup for him too. The things that could give them problems are things that he does not do well. So he plays right into their game.
It's the fun face punching, game. And in these heavyweights, they know what they get into, man. Every time they go out there, they're risking a knockout. They're risking getting knocked out. Like the percentage is much higher than other weight classes. But yeah, Junior Tafa, man, I think they should just continue giving him matchups, right? Other guys that are coming up, veterans, middle guys in the middle of the division. I think that's what Junior Tafa should do. There's no reason to push him. They try to do it with Tuivasa, right?
Slow cook him,
and they did it too fast. Luckily, he turned himself around and everything, but not everybody turns themselves around, right? Look at what's his name? He's working at Walmart now. Greg Cardi, right? Like, look at him. He's working at Walmart, dude. Like, he went from the NFL to the UFC to Walmart
to team boxing, then to
that's
Walmart.
That's
BKFC to
WMFC, right? Walmart Fighting Championship in the parking lot, right in the back near the dumpsters, the green dumpsters, right? Like
he gonna get knocked out by somebody in there. Bro. With the amount of fights that happen at Walmart, we're gonna see him getting knocked out again soon.
you got like a short, stocky, like cholo, right? And you
Man,
know he does burpees. You know he does burpees. Like he got cardio for days. Like you walk up, he rock up with
little
the
legs,
with
big
this fist
body.
like this. Yeah, you know what's up, right?
Button to
Like
the
that.
top.
Exactly, right? They ready to fight. Only one button. Boom. It's
Yep.
open, right? Like it's all good. But anyways, Parker Porter, shout out to him, man. He's taking every fight. And
Yep.
yeah, man, he risked it for the biscuit, and it didn't happen. He didn't get no butter. Now the prelims, right? You got Waldo got the first round knockout against Bresky. Armfield goes out there against Kazama and pieces him up, first round knockout as well. Olinjan Jacek gets the first round knockout over Chitty Bang Bang.
And a bonus.
And a bonus. Keenan Song, he gets the third round decision. Not too memorable. Billy Goff, he gets the first round knockout over Kinoshita. Kinoshita, man, a lot of people thought he was like the prospect, but now he's coming off 2 back-to-back finishes against, debuters, man. He's not looking too good. JJ Aldrich gets the second round KO over Liang, who has become winless in the UFC. She hasn't really done too well. I think she's been finished in every fight as well. Not too good. Sting comes back, man, after a bunch of losses. The UFC gave him a chance, another shot. Maybe this was just his last one on his UFC contract. Who knows? But he goes in there and gets a decision win. Usually it seems like he gets a decision win or he gets knocked out in like a fight of the night. But Asians win, loss, win, loss. Let me see. Win and loss. So it's a mixed results night for the Asians, right? What stuck out to you, J Spec? Prelims.
Prelims. The thing that stuck out to me most, if I'm reviewing, I'm trying to remember. I think, honestly, it was the JJ Aldrich fights, because I just kind of remember thinking to myself, respectfully, that Miss Liang is not UFC caliber. And then to me, that was the thing. If I look at those early fights, that was the one thing that I think stuck out to my brain, and I still stick with it. I still stay with that opinion that I made at the time. And, good luck. But I know the women's division gets a little bit more leash than the men's do, as they deserve. And I don't know. But I just, there was nothing. How do I say this? I'm saying it respectfully. There's very little redeeming qualities in the performance of Miss Liang in her last fight that shows me that she deserves to continue to be in the UFC.
That was a setup fight for JJ to get a win, right? Like you said, man, I agree with you. Liang is not ready for the UFC. She kind of got pushed into the UFC with that UFC Academy and the PI in Shanghai. The Academy was producing fighters to push it into the UFC from China. You know what I mean? Like that was what they were trying to do, and she just wasn't ready, man. The caliber of fighters right now she's fighting is just way much better than her. She needs to take time away. I think that's what they should do with some of these prospects that they pushed in. Just let them step away. You're still signed to the UFC. Let them step away and maybe fight somewhere else, regionally, because that's what they were doing, and develop themselves. Because for her, it's just not right. And she comes from the PI in Shanghai. The road to UFC is all connected to all that, and a lot of the other Asian countries. Some good moments, man. A lot of upsets on road to UFC. But hopefully the ones that win the tournament. It seems like the ones that win the tournament are the ones that are ready, right, to perform. So we'll see what happens with the tournament. I think the finals will happen in a couple of months. I don't know exactly where. Probably the Shanghai PI, because they're not going to have an event in Asia again this year, would they? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But yeah, go back. I'm gonna have to go back and watch some of the road to UFC fights, because I didn't watch them all. But yeah, there were some good highlights there. some upsets. And did you guys catch the fights? What did you guys think of what transpired?
I'm gonna be honest. I stayed up for bare knuckle, then woke up in the middle of the night for UFC. Then international heavyweight boxing was happening at a different time that met up with UFC. So long story short, your boy was sleeping and I missed it. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
I caught the highlights. I caught the highlights, man. I was out. That early time was not it.
Yeah.
Shout out to all you international fans of MMA. Big respect to all of you who watch the fights out of the normal time zone. We had to do it just once right now this year, and I just want to say I salute all of you. You guys are real.
There you go. You know, J Spec is saluting everybody that is doing his thing. Hype MMA is saying Road to UFC was awesome.
Nice.
Derek Yates says, "Is this live?" Yes, it is live, and we're kind of winding down into the last segments of the show. Yeah, Road to UFC. Go make sure you guys go back and watch some of that. Some of the best prospects in Asia are fighting on Road to UFC. Guys that have fought for one championship, for all the major promotions out here. There a lot of them are competing for contracts and very, very nice contracts as well. If you win the tournament, you're getting like double what Contender Series fighters are signing for. It's different, man. It's different. I saw something online before we get out of here. Maybe we could talk about is what was I gonna a fighter? What was it? Blake Builder. Like have you seen this online?
No.
About Blake Builder. He like did some like stunt or something where he fought like a bunch of just regular people in a ring.
Okay.
Like back to back to back to back or something like that. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm not just like trying to make this an isolated thing, but like it seems like we've had this stuff happen in the past where fighters would like bring in like normal people that are trolls or whatnot or whatever situation is. They're beating up somebody that's not a fighter.
Okay.
Should this be happening in this world? Like you don't see football players like getting regular people in a 265-pound linebacker. Okay, you run the ball and I'm gonna hit you coming up the middle, sicko. Yeah, Dallas Cowboys. Like you're the running back for the day, and we got who's the Dallas Cowboys running linebacker?
Michael Parsons, Leighton Vander.
Okay, Michael.
Bunch of dudes I do not want to get hit by. That's
exactly
that's
right.
Who,
so it's
a bunch of dudes that will hurt me.
It's kind of like that, right? It's like
No, I agree,
going
man.
in there saying like I want to fight. Like this to me, I think this you should stop this. Like don't do this as a fighter. It's not good publicity. What do you think?
Well, yeah, it's not good publicity, and that's the issue I have with it. Is they're using it for clicks, they're using it for views. Why is there always a camera on all these, and it's always posted immediately after? Like, what do you get out of it? Listen, I understand, I get it, right? There are athletes that have to hear stuff, whether you're a soccer player, football, basketball. I get it, man. Sometimes the stuff people say is just so out of pocket that you're like, I wish I could just bring them down here. You know what I mean? And be like, all right, let's see what's up. At the end of the day, don't forget how much bigger I am, how much more trained I am, how much more physical I am than you. And you're talking as though there's some type of protection. There's some force field that you have online. You don't have that protection. So I get it. So I'm not going to sit here and criticize a fighter for saying, man, I'm tired of this person talking shit. Come to the gym and let's see what's up. Hey, what if that person shows up? It's on that person. What I don't like is that it's recorded and it's posted, and it's almost like you're gloating about it. What is there to gloat about? Any trained fighter is going to beat up some regular dude who's never been to a gym. There's no glory in that. You know what I mean? Like, that's the part I have issue with, is the fact that these guys are trying to take some glory of it. I don't understand where that comes from. So I don't like it, man. I don't care for it at all. Like, when I watch it, I'm not like, oh, yo, let me share this. This is cool. Like, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, it reminds me of the time where like Kevin Holland, he did it to some random guy that was a troll or something online, and there's thousands and thousands.
Sean Strickland's been doing it every damn week.
Yeah, there's thousands of trolls online. Like, why pick out one troll and beat them up? You know what I mean? And yeah, those sparring videos of like Sean Strickland, dude, that to me, that's disturbing. That's not professional. That's not professional. Like, we should not condone those things. Like that's not like the guy that he's sparring. Is that dude a fighter? Is that dude high level? And then you're gonna go hard on him? Like what? We don't
That's the
know the
thing. You're
story
not even
behind that, right? We
playing.
just
You're not
see
even playing with him. Like
no,
I've
he's
seen it
knocking
before.
them
I
out.
mean, how many times do we see Floyd Mayweather bring in celebrities and random dudes, and he plays with them, he toys with them, he kind of jabs them up,
Yeah,
gives them a couple shots, and he's just kind of showing them, hey, there's levels, and if I wanted to hurt you, I could. Where Sean's like, I'm trying to kill you. I'm like, yo, Sean goes harder against these dudes than he does when he's actually in a UFC fight. Like that's the thing that's crazy to me is like, yo, you're throwing the kitchen sink at these randoms.
yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah, they signed a waiver and all that stuff. Yeah, and that's to protect you from legal situations or
Yeah.
getting sued. But I don't know, man. Like to me, it's not good for your reputation to be going out there and releasing videos like that. Number one, number two, doing it against Sean. I don't think he's doing it against like I think he has like sparred
Yeah.
against regular people in the
Yeah,
gym,
yeah.
right? There was videos of
Some
him.
regular, some dude was a boxer,
Yeah,
some other dude was like an amateur
yeah,
that had like a couple fights, I guess amateur
yeah.
fights. Like it's kind of spotty everywhere. But my thing is like it's just to me, it's like it shows a big amount of insecurity. Like to post it and to brag about it and to like, oh, I'm gonna really like this is my chance to really hurt somebody. Like that's kind of odd to me, to be honest.
Is it good for the sport though, the image, J-Spec, of the sport to have like these high level guys and to be honest with you, Sean Strickland is not the best representative of the sport. If he was, man,
Of
it would be
professionalism.
Thank you.
Sean Strickland isn't
Thank
the best representation of professionalism.
Thank
And
you
if
guys.
it,
You said it. You set it up. What I was just about to say. Are we using Sean Strickland as our leader in how
I mean,
to
he's a
conduct
pro.
ourselves?
He's a pro.
Leader to conduct ourselves in public and on the microphone and on video. Are we using Sean Strickland to do that? I hope not. And if you are, please choose somebody else. I love Sean Strickland. Just for the record, I like what he's about. He makes adult oriented content, not for everyone. Now, is it good look for the sport? I'm gonna answer no. But I'm okay. I'm okay with people who run their mouth coming and getting some. Now, I do also agree with Sickle that all of this being recorded and instantly pushed, and that's now you're trying to cook up content and get the rub from different areas of fans to try to get your video to pop. Yeah, I've been an advocate of MMA and martial arts and checking your attitude for a long time. So with that being said, if you think you don't respect any sport, and I don't, whatever sport it is, every once in a while, sports from other players from other sports, all kinds of sports, do invite the fans, and it's a friendly, healthy way of educating the fans that this shit ain't easy and you just can't do it, so take it easy, right? There's a healthy way to do this. I think just right now the way it's structured and is being delivered is a little ugly, and so it doesn't get the good message out. But I am for it. I'm for all the talented people in the world finding all. Yes, John, there's a lot of trolls. And the problem is you trolls out there don't get beat up enough. I'm saying it. I'm from the generation of getting beat up. You get beat up, learn some shit, learn some respect, get it put into you. Because I really think that it's good for people to truly respect something from experience. So I'm with you guys that this shouldn't be published. What happens in gyms, training in gyms and sparring in gyms shouldn't be put on the internet. I'm also coming as old school for that too. And where I'm from, nothing, your practices are not for the internet. So anyways, with all that being said, I think this could be used well. Currently not in the most ideal format. If it can be reorganized slightly, I think it can be a tool for good. And that's my thoughts.
there you go. If it's a tool for good, it's always good. But who knows, man? Who knows? Nowadays, there's an avenue to make money in many different ways, and this is what people are trying to figure out. But if you take that away from the scenario, right, of like making content and stuff like that, this stuff shouldn't happen. It's unless the dude really comes in there and he's like, I want to fight a real fighter, and those situations happen. But
Yeah.
setting it up and all that, and, it's just it's very odd. It's very odd that you would waste your time doing that when you should be getting ready to fight the best fighters in the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, that's what we're doing every week. We're praising the best fighters in the world, and that's what we do. Before we get out of here, make sure you guys go in the descriptions and download the AllStar app. Make your picks. It's all free. The app is free. There's no in-app purchases. You know what I mean? There's leagues you can join. There's communities you can join in the app to make picks and chat and have fun and build a nice friendly environment. You know what I mean? And that's what JSpec does. Sicko, what you got going on? Anything
Nothing
you want to
much,
promote?
man. Nothing much. Being a dad and working and then doing this with y'all, man. I love doing this with you guys, man. This is a hell of a way to end a weekend every night. I appreciate the hell out of it.
Yeah, for
But,
sure.
oh, I did want to say one thing, man. Shout out Fernie Garcia. Just because you took an L and just because you're about to get cut, don't forget. I do not forget that you're from the 915 representing El Paso, Texas, man. I don't get to see my boys every day. Even if you went 0-3 in the UFC, still proud of you, my brother. Still proud. You got there.
There you go. There you go, Fernie Garcia. Yeah, nice dude, solid dude. JSpec, tell us about what's
You,
coming up this week.
you know what I'm gonna do right now. It's the end of the month, at least for picking fights. There's no more fights for this beautiful month of August. It is in the book. So congratulations on the All-Star app to More, I think I'm pronouncing you win. Yay! You win this autograph 8x10 of former world champion Luke Rockhold. So hit me up in the messages on hit me up on the messages on the app so I can get that to you. So congratulations to you on that. You know what's up. Another month starting this month. So that means, once again, a new champion will be crowned. So jump in on the app, join JSpec's Prize League. Champion of the month for September will win autographed memorabilia. Best picker in our watch along spaces. We do one for every UFC event. Come on down, be the best picker in that space for the UFC events. That's another way. So 2 chances to win autographed memorabilia every month. And well, of course, come check me out, check out Sicko and John, of course. But Saturday, this coming Saturday, special time once again, folks. Don't get tricked with 2 odd times. So check your time zones for UFC Paris, whatever it may be, wherever you are in the beautiful planet of Earth. And see you on Twitter. Let's enjoy the fights together.
There you go. Yeah, make sure you guys go on Twitter and follow everybody and jump in the spaces and have fun during the fights, chat and do your thing. We'll be back next week, Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, same time, same people, same channel, different chat. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you everybody in the chat for leaving your comments. And yes, have a good week.